Take two. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Connecticut Common Sense News and Entertainment, the original Common Sense broadcast, the awesome, with the great Selina Rifkin and myself, Jason Douglas. Welcome, everybody. We got a lot to talk about today. Um, Frankly, I don't even know what it was. We had to take one that I hung up.
Um,
So
That was
let's take two.
we had an oops. We
Yeah, it
had,
was oops. But what was it that I talked about before Maha? I
you were
forgot.
talking about well, you were talking about all you were talking well, you told us about you did a podcast, you had a hard time uploading it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So anyway,
Uh,
we're going to talk about Maha here for a minute, and I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig because I am a diabetic.
Type
Okay.
2.
And so is Selena. We were both diabetics. That's
No, no,
correct.
no, no. I'm
Oh,
not a diabetic. I am not
oh,
diabetic.
oh. I thought you said me too. I was like, oh, I didn't
No,
know.
no, no. I said type 2
Oh,
diabetes.
type two, right? So yeah, Giddy, that's just where we were. Type one diabetes is, in my understanding, is generally a genetically induced disease that you're generally born with. It means your pancreas is either not functioning well or not at all, and there's generally no cure to diabetes part one unless you can replace your pancreas until they have pancreas transfusions. Right, you're not going to have a cure to diabetes part one. So, but diabetes part two is more what I call a disease of abundance, which is a disease of habit. Really, and it forms from just ingesting too much sugar over the course of a lifetime, and it develops usually in adults as they get older. And it happened to me when I was 45.
Mm.
And For the first 3 weeks, I'm not going to get into details with it about it. I did a 1 hour podcast yesterday. We put it up on YouTube, and I had trouble uploading it on Facebook, but I finally got it up there. So it's out there. It really doesn't have any views yet, but you people got to get it together, go out and check this thing out because it's important. I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig here. Now, diabetes part two is an onset. It's called onset diabetes or type diabetes type two or part two. And I believe it is curable. Most doctors will tell you that it's not,
Oh, it is absolutely curable.
but it is absolutely curable. And in my opinion, it really, if before I can get to the details of it, I could talk first about the overall principle. Now, a disease like malaria or yellow fever is what I call a disease of scarcity, and they develop in impoverished nations where there just isn't enough food. So you get these diseases from not having enough nutrients in your system. Then there's what we call diseases of abundance, which is the opposite. Those diseases develop from having too much of something. You're eating too much sugar, you have too much nasty fats, too much bad things in your system. You develop diseases like cancer and diabetes. Now, in this country in 1940, I don't believe there was even a designation called diabetes part two or type two because either just about nobody had it. There was really only one type of diabetes, type one. Okay, diabetes part two virtually did not exist. And if it did exist, it was in such a small number that it wasn't even designated with its own name. So now we have a situation where I believe at least 30 or 40 million people
It's a lot.
with diabetes part two. That says something about our food supply, things like that. But I got a new show I want to promote on Common Sense News and Entertainment. It's a little bit sporadic right now, but it's going to be daily. The 1 hour podcast that I put up this morning, check it out. I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig here. Okay, as a diabetic, I chose after a few initial weeks of fear and following the Western protocol of metformin and managing my diabetes, I even had a little booklet, I snapped out of it and did I came back to who I am, which is an independent thinker. And I did my own research for a few months on it, came to my own conclusions, and decided that eating nothing but fresh, all raw, whole foods and vegetables and nuts would be the way, and staying away from processed or added sugar. And so I attempted to go that route with mixed success until 2019. Then in 2020, the COVID hit. I just hit me like I did everybody else, and my behavior became no good. I virtually ignored the disease from 2020 until 2023. Anything I wanted, really. Fast food, soda, iced tea, lots of it. And did damage to myself along that way, for sure. Luckily, came to my senses in 2024 and started doing it right. Now, if you're gonna ignore the Western medicine, the foreman, and do it your own way, then you really should do it your own way. One path: stay with the Western form, the more foreman, manage it like Melissa's father does. He's 90 years old now and doing okay. You can do it that way. You can manage your diabetes, and I think that's the low risk way to do it, actually. But if you want to cure it, if you want to take a risk and try to cure it, then you need to have it's something that's worthwhile takes time. So you can't cure diabetes. You can make the symptoms go away with your metformin and things and feel a little better pretty much right away. But if you want to cure your disease, it's going to take time. Your body has to detoxify over a period of months and really even years. And I mean, it involves a very disciplined eating regimen, like avocado, the real avocado, fresh avocado from the co-op, blueberries, okay, um, eggs, things like that. Anyway, I have this show called Common Sense News and Entertainment. It's sporadic right now, but it's going to be every day at least a little bit. It's called the Maha Show, and we're going to talk more and more about Maha on this news network because it's, in my opinion, without a healthy America, the other issues like MAGA and don't matter if we're all too sick.
I'll agree. If we are unwell, then it's very hard.
None
You
of the other
don't
issues
want to go
matter.
out. You don't want to talk to anybody. Psychologically, you don't feel good.
Yeah, we have as many as 60 or 70 million Americans that sit home helpless.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And a
not.
lot of it's because of the reasons like this. And so I've been dealing with little episodes of ketoacidosis. I call it the gauntlet. It's debilitating symptoms. They knock even tough guys like me out. Um, and my 1 hour podcast, I urge you to watch it and pass it on, share it, because it's hopefully it's going to catch wind. Because I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig here. I'm going to fast monthly. Stick with this is a discipline I've been trying to do for 10 years, but now I've been after 10 years. The way I operate in breaking sugar is addiction.
Oh
The way I
yes,
operate, the way I
sugar goes
operate
to the same place in your brain as heroin.
big time.
Yep.
And I know that because I knew my life was at stake and I still struggled getting, I still pounded the sugar, knowing that was killing me, still doing it. And I'm not suicidal. I love life. So addiction is very real. But I was able to break it for the most part in 2024. And I still have, up until recently, I've still had little bouts of it. Last Sunday night, last Saturday night, the 14th, I ate a big little box of jelly beans for Easter. Nasty, dumb move. And these are little things I would do every now and then, though, to sabotage myself. Even now, even up until recently,
Hmm.
something wonderful happened, though. I got very sick on the 15th, the Ides of March.
Mm. Hmm.
And every time it happens to me, over the last year and a half, I've got this, what I call the gauntlet hit me. And every time I do, I have to come to Jesus. Oh, God, I'm going to behave from now on. I'm going to say, I'm going to do this right. I'm going to do this right. Because again, if you choose not to do the management part like her father did, and you choose to go your own route, you really need to go your own route.
Mm.
Don't ignore the disease. I can tell you firsthand, don't do that. Now, but what something as wonderful has happened. I used to smoke cigarettes. In 1987, I started smoking cigarettes. I was 17 years old. I continued to smoke until I was 31. On January 1st of 2002, I quit cold turkey, never smoked again.
Hmm.
I tried for years, but for me, when I'm trying to break an addiction,
Hmm.
um, it's a road.
Mm.
You have to keep traveling. You're gonna fail and fail and fail, but you have to keep mentally going, and you will eventually succeed if you don't ever give up. And that's my cigarette story is an example of that. And so what happened to me last Sunday was the food version of that. I
Mm.
am now I have reached a new level of discipline, which is listen. Last night at about 85 to 90 hours, somewhere in the 90-hour area of my fasting, I fasted Sunday when I was sick on Sunday. I didn't eat or drink water. I kept it going.
Okay.
Fasting is very good for people, even diabetics.
Hmm. I'm gonna, Jason, I want to bump in here, but there's a doctor I think he's in Toronto. His name is Jason Fung, Fung.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been using fasting and a keto diet, not ketoacidosis, that's different.
Yeah.
A keto diet to treat diabetes for like well over 10 years. And it's incredibly effective. He has gotten people, and these are his clients are generally poor and they have no resources. And he gives them four foods they can eat. It's like, here, you can eat these four foods, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they do that and they fast and he's fixed people with diabetes.
I'm doing something pretty similar
Type
to
2,
that.
type 2 diabetes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing something very similar to that. I'm gonna fast at the first Sunday of every month going forward for 2 days minimum.
Hmm.
Now this fast I did just ended today. I started it on Sunday involuntarily. I couldn't eat. I was too sick to eat.
Hmm.
It was the first day of the fast was
Might as well
completely
go with it.
involuntary. Yeah, and then but as bad as keto acid, I call it the gauntlet. As bad as the gauntlet is,
Hmm.
it inspires you. It gives you a jump start on a new diet because you're not eating.
It is very motivating.
Yeah, you're not eating a Big
It
Mac when
is
you're on the
motivating.
gauntlet, right? So it's very motivating, very, very motivating. And there's a fourth thing. I'll just give you a brief. I don't want to repeat myself too much. Watch my cast from this morning or yesterday. But the three components of the gauntlet or ketoacidosis are: one, extremely shortness of breath, struggling to breathe; two, nausea at the level of like, oh, you feel like you're going to vomit. You're just so weak from nausea, but you can't throw up.
Mm,
Three, um, lack of energy. And I don't mean lack of energy like, hey, I don't feel like going for my jog today. I
mm,
mean lack of energy like I don't even want to pick my head up. Not I don't want to sit up off the bed. It's I don't even want to pick my head up.
mm,
Kind of low energy. Okay. And then there's the fourth one I'm adding now that I recently added to it from this last one I had, and that is the mental mind fuck,
mm,
which it really scares me because I've always been a rational thinker. I'm not
mm,
an irrational thinker, but when the gauntlet hits you hard, you start thinking things like, you know what, I'm ready to go. Just come take me now. It's cool.
mm,
I'm totally good with that. I can end it right now. Come on, come get me. I feel terrible. I'm ready to go. And that's not the way I think.
mhm.
So that thing scares you. That kind of scares you a little bit. Not that I would do anything like that, but just the thought alone scares me.
Mhm.
So I'm like an anti-suicide person. So just to think like I've never once thought, oh, I don't really want to be alive anymore. Like to even think like just the thought like, hey, I'm cool, just to be cool with it.
Right.
So coming like, okay, where's if the Grim Reaper walks in the door? It's like, all right, I'm ready to go, dude. Like to even have that attitude is like, no, I'm more of like a Dylan Thomas kind of guy.
Mhm.
Rage against the dying of the light. Do
Okay.
not gently into that night.
Right.
Right. So anyway, I'm gonna be. The point is, the show's gonna be on every day. This was 1 hour when I did this one to introduce it, but it's gonna be like a 10 or 15 minute thing, not a long show every day. Maybe maybe 30 minutes at the most. Well, I'm gonna lay out what I've eaten for the day. I don't take any medications. I'm gonna cure myself from diabetes part two without taking a darn drug. Not one medication, just by eating right and doing the right thing. So I've now reached that same discipline I reached in January of 2002 when I quit smoking cigarettes.
Okay.
I'm at that level. I knew it was coming. I knew all these years it was coming, and it's here. And
All right. Well,
you know,
you've said this publicly, and now you
I
are,
better stick to it now, right?
you better stick to it.
I
That's
will. I will. That's why I haven't said it publicly
Mhm.
for the last, well, as long as I've been doing this, a year and a half almost now. We've been doing this stuff, and I haven't said a word about that because I knew I wasn't ready for that. But now I am,
Okay.
and that's why it's come out. So watch it, check it out, share it. It's an hour long. I talked a lot on it. Hopefully, I don't bore everybody, but I think it's worth listening to. Okay, it's just more detail about what we've talked about already here today.
Okay.
Okay, so what else is going on today? Do you want to? Can we talk
Oh,
about the Iraq War real quick?
no, it's
Iran
my
War, I
turn.
mean,
It's
huh?
my turn.
Okay,
It's
go
my
ahead.
turn.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to talk about corruption in Connecticut.
Yes.
We're going to talk about corruption in Connecticut. Now,
Yeah,
I'm going to
we should
start us
talk.
off with the voter fraud. And I'm going to share my screen. And what we're going to be hearing is the testimony of Linda Del Sano, she's been working with, fight, not, sorry, she's been working with United Americans, which is the organization that's been going through our voter rolls. And so in front of, she testified in front of one of the committees that are trying to, what this committee is trying to do is make it hard or impossible, more difficult for people to do FOIA requests for any kind of voting information because they're doing their best. There have been so many bills coming down through Hartford right now, and it's just, I mean, a ridiculous amount. It's like there's no way any one person can actually keep up with all of these things. They're just,
Some of these bills are like sabotaged kind of stuff, you
oh, they
know?
are. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but I want to start with this one. And then we're going to get into the whole sequence of the racketeering and what's actually been happening, why they're piling some of these bills on. So we're going to start with Linda. So I'm going to share my
Okay.
screen. And where is she? Um, I had this a second ago. You know what? Hang on a minute. For some reason that's because we had a little glitch earlier. Okay. Now we're going to come back to this. Okay. Here we go.
Hey, down right here. My cat is joining the show tonight.
Okay. Oh, that's always good. Okay, so here we go.
Here we go.
Hi, are you able to see me? Yes. Okay. To the distinguished and honored members of the GAE, I speak in opposition to Raise Bill 491. My name is Dr. Linda D'Alessio. I have been a resident of Connecticut all my life. I am co-chair for Unite for Freedom, not a spokesperson. Unite for Freedom is a bipartisan election integrity forensic audit group. We have thousands of volunteers and auditors and are not an NGO. Having completed audits of the last 5 years within the Connecticut elections from FOIA records obtained from the Secretary of State, own voter rolls, no excuse absentee ballots will continue to contribute to the fraud we have found. Our voter rolls are a mess, and the Secretary of State's office should be ashamed of their job performance. Some examples include in the November 2022 election, final election results uncovered 60,000 more votes than voters who voted. In the November 2024 election, final election results uncovered almost 24,000 more votes than voters who voted. Where exactly did these votes come from? They were not in the 169 town voter total data. And before I'm told to report this to the, responsive parties, this has been reported to the Attorney General, the FBI, the State and Federal Department of Justice, the Secretary of State, the SEC, and the governor. Our audit team has had meetings with Republican leadership showing them the audit records that we have completed. We will be reporting this data throughout all 169 town boards in Connecticut, including to the Register of Voters. A clerical error? I don't think so. Further, our audit of the 2024 election rolls showed numerous violations of the Help America Vote Act, including, but not limited to, inaccurate dates of birth, inaccurate addresses that don't exist, inaccurate and incomplete names, people voting from commercial addresses, people voting from empty lots, thousands of double voters, which we have their names of, and their place of employment and their home addresses. We even found dead people who have been deceased since 2014 and a green card holder voting. All of these invalid votes and voters violate the National Voter Registration Act and Title III of the Civil Rights Act. Errors on the voter rolls comprise over 100,000 violations of these laws. Per HAVA, Connecticut is allowed 12. Our audit is based on redacted voter data. The DOJ's case is being heard tomorrow in Bridgeport Federal Court, suing for the unredacted voter rolls. Can you imagine the errors they will find? We are done with the gaslighting of how safe and secure our elections are. They are not safe, they are not secure, and they are not transparent. No excuse absentee ballots will continue the fraud that we have found in this state. Absentee ballots should be used for people who are ill, in the hospital, serving in our military, or have disability which prevents voting in person to the polls on election day. I am available for any questions. This data is courtroom ready, and the Department of Justice at the federal level has this because these are crimes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and your testimony. Are there questions or comments from members of the committee? Senator Sampson.
Hang on.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Linda, thank you for.
That was awesome. I got to get in touch with her. Her and I met for the first time at the CTRA annual event last month and earlier this month, and she's great. And I want to help her. Our network wants to help her by going out, and I want to find out from her exactly where she wants me to go with the video cameras to expose this thing if necessary.
The plan is, and I'm sorry, I was thinking that this was
That was a telling testimony.
so I forgot that, yes, the Connecticut legislature has decided that they want to do all the absentee ballots. They just want everybody to vote by mail. That's what they want to do. So that's what she was talking about. And it's like,
Right.
it's another one of those things that just.
She mentioned that the DOJ's, she said tomorrow the DOJ is being heard at Bridgeport Federal Court. Now, when was that recorded?
That it was this morning.
Okay, so tomorrow.
No, today. It was heard today.
So today, the Federal Department of today, as we speak, the Federal Department of Justice's case which is basically Linda's case and our case, is being heard in federal court in Bridgeport.
In Bridgeport, it was heard this morning.
Wow, we got to definitely stay on top of that for sure.
Yeah, it was heard this morning.
I'd love to know. Oh, that was her. Okay,
It was
but when she did her testimony, she mentioned
Yeah.
that the DOJ is being heard in federal court tomorrow.
Yes, that was no, it was today. They heard it in federal court today. This testimony was recorded yesterday.
I get you. Okay, so do we know what happened with that, or no? Just that it was heard.
Not yet. And they could have heard it, and they maybe
Well, she really delineated that well.
Yep.
And it was worth watching that. It was worth putting that up. That's great.
Yeah.
And we need to all there needs to be. She can't be the lone voice in the woods. There needs to be many people coming forward.
Yeah, there needs to be a lot of. So what they're going to be doing is that statement. There's an equivalent to that statement that is going to be read in every town in Connecticut. That is the plan. And you're going to be recording at least some of those. So, because they need to be read at town meetings, they're going to be read at town meetings with the names of the selectmen and the registrars of voters included, so that it is on the record, it is on the town record that this has been addressed and that these people are responsible, because the law to make sure that one person, one vote happens is already in place.
Yeah, they don't need new laws. We don't need any new laws. Right,
Yeah.
right.
There's not any. Yeah, it's like we are not getting local enforcement.
Right. It's not the lack of legislation that's the problem. It's the corruption and the lack of enforcement of the legislation we already have.
Lack of enforcement of the existing legislation,
right, which can be addressed in court. So,
and the other piece of this is that she's only talking about one piece of the voter fraud. That's the irregularities in the voter rolls.
Right. There are many pieces. There are 12 different things they're doing.
Well, the other piece that's big is what happens when the actual voting is happening.
Using machines and not hand count. Correct.
And in Texas, there's already evidence that the recent election in Texas, they were primaries. These were primaries.
Yeah.
That votes have been switched on and off. If you take screenshots over the course of, every hour during the election, you can see how many votes this person has, how many votes that person has, and those numbers should never, ever, ever go down. There is no reason for those numbers to go down. They have.
Right.
It's both Republicans and Democrats.
Wow.
So there is major fraud going on, and
that's why the SAVE Act going on, right, being debated in the Senate is so important.
Sure that goes through.
But we know that the problem is, though, let's say they do thankfully pass the SAVE Act, right? What if these corrupt blue states just don't enforce it?
Well, that becomes an additional problem. But you got to take this one step at a time. There's always going to be a what if. We have to look down the road and say, yes, we all have our own. Each state is going to have slightly different variations on these problems, as you said before. There's how many different ways to cheat?
There's many. There are 15 different ways to cheat, and Connecticut only covers 3 of those ways, I believe. Right. The other 12 are just left out in the open to cheat.
As citizens, we have to step up. We have to be, we have to make sure that our elections are clean, and that means you show up.
Yep.
Show up.
I know James Mayer's got a bunch of signs he bought, and they all say, if you don't come out and vote for Republicans, that means you're voting for Democrat.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah. Republicans that don't vote elected Democrats.
And too big to rig won't work in Connecticut. We don't have enough grassroots, massive support to do the too big to rig thing. So we've got to straighten out these voter fraud. And you know something? This is a 90-10 issue.
I don't think Linda actually agrees with you about that.
She thinks we can win with too big to rig?
She thinks that we could actually. Well, the thing is, as James pointed out, James Meyer, who is our buddy who organizes events, and he's fantastic at it, and just got himself on his local RTC. So he's but one of the things that he's pointed out to me today, because I was supposed to be going to an event this evening, but it got canceled because of illness, is that Republicans tend to not show up to vote. It's like only 20 to 30% of people actually show up to vote. If Republicans showed up to vote,
they would crush them.
Yeah.
And then how do we motivate people?
What Democrats do is they go and they drive. It's like they call up and say, "Do you need a ride to the polls? We can arrange that."
Do you know what the one word answer is? How do we motivate this other 70% of Republicans to come out and vote? There's one word answer. It's not you're not going to like the answer, but there's a one word answer. You know what it is?
I'm waiting.
Fear.
If that's what it takes.
Because it's legitimate fear.
Mhm.
It's not
And
made up fear. Like
it's very legitimate.
Democrats will make up fear to get you to come. Democrats will scare you. They will make up lies to scare you to come out to vote.
This is
And they'll
is
tell
a
you
real
that
concern.
they'll tell, for instance, they'll tell old people that Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump's going to take away your Social Security
Right.
if you don't come out and vote.
Right.
Right? That's never was true. However, we tell you that Marxists are going to take over in Connecticut, and communists and jihadists, because they're all over the state, they're all over this country, and if we let they take people that are sympathetic to their left wing causes into power, we could all find ourselves in a very, very difficult situation.
Yeah, there's not going to be another state to get to.
There's not going to be another state to get to. That's correct.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be another. The United States is. I just want to give you a brief world history lesson. After the fall, Greece had a democracy, but it was all if you were a man and you owned land. Then you had your democracy.
Athens. It was
right, and you had to live near Athens. Otherwise, you're nothing. Rome had a republic for a little while, became an empire. There was never in the history of the world a country founded on the principle of a strong middle class and freedom.
Mm-hmm.
The United States is the only one in the history of the world to do that, which is good for people.
Yes.
That made the rest of the world mad. The rest of the despotic world mad. To have this free country on the other side of the ocean. So we've been a target ever since from these kings and despots and jihadists and whatever. You know, some people don't realize the problem with jihad and Islam goes back to the very beginning of our history. It's not something that just developed over the last 30 or 40 years with 9/11 and hijackings and whatever. You know, there was
the first war we got into.
Yes, the very first and third war we got into were called the Barbary Wars, and they were over in the Mediterranean Sea and on the Atlantic Ocean out in front of it against Arab pirates that were kidnapping and enslaving our Americans. There were believed to be over 1,000 Americans being held as slaves in North Africa during that time. And we had 151 hostages in 1979 with Iran. So there was more than that then. So we've always had this problem. And we don't have time today. We're going to have a show. I think eventually we're going to talk a lot more about Islam, what the story is here, and what a threat it really is.
Yeah.
But for now, voters in Connecticut need to understand, Republicans especially, and Democrats for that matter, who used to have a reasonable left, kind of like moderate to slightly left-wing party, that really espoused social programs to help poor people. That was essentially the mantra of the Democratic Party, which to me is a reasonable left-wing position to take. A moderate, reasonable left-wing. We don't want anybody to suffer and not have help if they need it. If they need it, that's the operative word.
Exactly.
Right. And after other opportunities like family, friends, and private charities are all exhausted, then maybe we have something for you. So I'm not complete. I'm not
and
like
if
this.
someone doesn't have any of those things, there might be some mental health issues. I'd like to point that one out.
Correct. And are very correct.
You can't maintain family. You can't maintain friends. There's probably something wrong.
And again, I'm going to say this again. If you're letting your emotions if you're trying to get the facts around you to support your emotions, instead of taking in the facts and let your emotions react to that, then you're thinking the wrong way, man. And you're probably on the far left. So reverse that, get it right, and come out and vote for Republicans. Even if you're not a Republican, come out and vote for Republican candidates.
Independents, please,
Please.
This is
if you don't,
culture where the left is tearing things down,
taking apart our livelihoods.
Yeah, and that's ideological. When we had Amy Chai on, she was talking about the Red Green Alliance. And that's, the red is the communists. The Communist Party of the United States views Connecticut as the jewel in their crown.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Trevor Loudon, he's an author. You should look him up. And he's done a ton of research on the Communist Party in the United States. And this is a quote from him, that the Communist Party in the United States views Connecticut as the jewel in their crown.
That's right. And they have a lot of
Their government
bases.
is, and I have, one of the things I've been putting out on X is I have been making little memes with our representatives and their connections to various Communist Party fronts, and that they take trips to Cuba for training, stuff like that.
Yeah, and here's
So
it's terrible.
yeah, so we are in trouble here, which
You're in big
doesn't mean
trouble.
that we should be throwing up our hands and just surrendering and running away. Fight where you are.
Stand your ground and fight where you are. You get, for the
Where
very
you are.
least, get out and vote this fall. It's imperative that you do. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people listen to what we're saying and say, come on, this is the United States. We have the courts. This will never happen, blah, blah, blah. Don't rest on those laurels. First of all, the mayor of New York City is now a devout communist Islamist.
Yeah,
Mayor of New York City.
yeah,
So if a mayor can get elected that way, a president can.
yeah.
And I'm telling you right now,
If we don't
they
get
will ignore the
let's,
Constitution if they get back into power. And if
oh,
anybody
they'll
doesn't know
wipe the floor with us.
they're already ignoring it as it is. If anybody doesn't know what Sharia law is, look it up. If you're a woman in Connecticut, you should be scared to death of letting these people. If you're one of those left-wing liberal older women running around with no king signs, or if you're one of those, if you're just a Republican that doesn't bother voting, figuring it doesn't matter or doesn't affect you, it does. Because if they get control again, and they will, if they do, I mean, then they will erase all of your rights, and Sharia law could eventually be instituted in time. Maybe not for you,
Yeah,
but
well,
for your children,
process, yeah.
for your children, okay? And Sharia law, women are treated like dogs.
Yeah.
They're often whipped, beaten, raped, kept in cages, and forced to cover their heads all the time. Even the ones that aren't kept in cages are forced to always keep their heads covered, always, home, abroad, no
Mhm.
matter what.
Yep. Yep.
Dogs aren't even allowed to live. Dogs are murdered,
I recommend the book
killed.
titled Unveiled. It's written by Yasmin Mohammed.
Uh,
And she was raised, her mother was Egyptian. She was raised in Canada. She was a Canadian citizen.
mhm.
She was actually married. She didn't even know about what was happening when she married this guy. She was forced into marriage
Oh,
with one of the 9/11, one of the 9/11,
attackers.
yeah,
Wow.
he's in prison in Egypt now. But she was raised, her mother was kind of a, kind of loose Muslim, and then she went very hard into the ideology. And so when Yasmin was about 7, she got all of a sudden her mother went hard into this, and suddenly she was getting beaten. Um, routinely. The preference is to beat the feet because then the bruises don't show.
Mhm.
She
But
was
that's only because they have to hide it here. If they ever had control, they wouldn't even have to hide it. They
oh,
wouldn't even worry about
exactly.
that
Oh
anymore.
yeah, they wouldn't. They
Yeah,
wouldn't.
their bruises are their trophies. I mean, this is how sick these people are.
Yeah, it's a it's
Don't think
it's
it can
it's
happen
an
here.
indicator, and I'm not even going to call it a mental illness because I'm going to say that ideas matter. And the ideas that you're brought up with shape who you are. And if you are brought up with the idea that women are
Dog.
subhumans, and
Yeah.
there's plenty of stuff there's plenty of imams on YouTube that talk about how it's fine to have sex with 9-year-olds, it's fine to get them pregnant. They
Mhm.
do stone and kill 9-year-old girls.
Yes, they do.
And that women are not human beings.
And those of you that
Say
are
this outright.
LGBTQ advocates out there
They
that
can
are
be off
supporting the left wing, that are supporting left wing causes, you better change your vote because they throw gay people off of buildings.
uh, none of that makes any sense. I
None
like
of that makes any
I
sense. It's like
think
Chuck
Palestine,
Schumer. It's
like,
like
oh, yeah, okay, this is not living in the real world, but probably not our audience anyway. And I want to talk a little bit more about some of the corruption in Connecticut.
well, I guess the point we're getting off track a little bit that, but I think the next show, one of these shows, we're going to talk more about what's going on with Islam in this country. But the point of what we're getting into now is get out and vote because the Second Amendment protects your right to bear arms. But Connecticut has all kinds of laws that require you to do all kinds of things to get a gun. So they've already violated your Second Amendment rights. A lot of people don't know what the Third Amendment is. The Third Amendment is you can't be forced to have people in your home, stay in your home.
Right.
Well, they could just pass the law. They can control, just pass the law that says you have to house people in your home now. And then they will literally go door to door and make sure you're in compliance with their Sharia law. Door to door to door.
Yep.
And your Third Amendment rights will go away. They don't, if they erase your Second Amendment and First Amendment rights like they already doing, they're sure as hell not gonna have a problem doing it with the Third Amendment either.
Absolutely.
So please get out and vote.
Absolutely.
Get out. You can now we still have a democracy and we can make sure, Court and I talked about Congress should pass there should be legislation introduced in the Connecticut General Assembly and in Congress, just banning Sharia law. Period. Ban it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
On one hand, a senator will tell you there's no reason to do that. That's silly. We already have our Judeo-Christian laws in place, and obviously we don't do Sharia law here, so there's no reason to ban something that's already banned. And I would say that, given the circumstances we have now, we need to state that again in another law.
Yeah, I think it's important to be specific.
I realize it's technically already codified, but we need to state that.
Well, here's the difficulty, because we have freedom of religion and Islam claims to be a religion.
We're going to get into that in another day, a little bit deeper, but I don't think Islam is a religion.
Well, I don't either, but that is the argument I believe they would present.
Well, if you want to get technical,
that's how they've gotten from point A to point B. That's how they've gotten in.
Yeah.
Because we are tolerant of different religions and we take some pride.
Well, look, worshiping Satan is a religion too, right? Technically, right? But Satan is.
That's one of the things I want to get into at some point, because I do plan to have a show on Connecticut news and entertainment at some point, and I want to talk about these things.
Very important. Well, religion and theology are things that they're uncomfortable talking about. They don't like to talk about. I'm okay with it. I'll talk about it anytime. Yep. And the bottom line is, technically, by the use of the definition of the word religion, I guess you could say Islam is technically a religion. But there's evil religion and good religion, and in my opinion,
I'm willing to. Let's go off this, because we could go on, and I really do want to get into this.
Let's promote it for next week. We'll talk about it next week.
Okay. So
we do have a special guest on next week too, who was harassed by Chris Murphy, but that's a promotion.
Oh yeah, that's good. That one's.
He'll be here next Thursday, so don't miss that.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one next Thursday.
But yeah, more about the corruption in Connecticut is deep with the voter fraud. People need to go out and beat it, and we're fighting on our end to clean up the world.
Tell people exactly what's going on here. So the Democrats they're doing this little bait and switch thing, because what's happened is that Connecticut got $155 million in federal grants, and the Department of Public Health basically spent that and is now insolvent. All those grants just disappeared. Like NGOs, the money hasn't been tracked, but 155 million basically gone.
Wow.
So Department of Public Health is insolvent. So what they did was they used something called SB 83 to divert 330.8 million from the teacher pensions into a shadow budget to cover this hole. So this is the first part of this bait and switch.
Wow.
So the Department of Public Health what they're trying to do to cover this oops is this disappearing money.
Wow.
The Department of Public Health is sitting on 110,000 it's 110,000 of expiring vaccine doses that are valued at 8 million. No. The Department of Public Health has already failed one audit. They cannot fail another one. In order to not fail this audit, they need to liquidate 110,000 expiring vaccine doses. How do you do this? You mandate that all residents get vaccines. So what happens when parents say, I don't want my children to get a vaccine, because there's a lot of the homeschooling in this state exploded during COVID, partially because the schools really stunk.
Closed.
Well, the schools were closed and the online thing stunk. And so people are just like, the heck with this. I'm just going to do it at home. Or they were like, no, my child is not going to get injected with some experimental God knows what. Mm-hmm. So homeschooling has absolutely exploded in this state.
Good.
So the state knows, the people in the legislature know that people will just pull their kids. There's a lot of people who will just pull their kids out of school. So
Mhm.
what do? So then they have an additional mandate where they say, oh, if you're a homeschooler, if you say you're going to homeschool, we're immediately going to refer you to Child Protective Services. It's
That's
an
unbelievable.
automatic referral to Child Protective Services. So this is what they're trying to do to cover up their financials.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and by the time they're done, and they have been at this that the homeschooling bill and the vaccine mandate, both of those have, I know the vaccine mandate passed out of committee without it being any problem whatsoever.
Unbelievable.
So what this is racketeering.
This is pure. Yeah, that's the perfect word
Racketeering.
for it. I
And
was just gonna say
I want to give you a definition of racketeering.
this is pure systematic criminal activity.
Yeah, it is absolutely criminal activity.
Yep.
So this is in to prove racketeering, prosecutors have to show that first that an enterprise exists. We have a government, yes, and it's a formal
That's the
organization.
first part.
That counts.
Unfortunately,
That the
it does
defendant is
exist.
associated with or employed by that enterprise. Well, yes, we have all of these state representatives that are employed by the government, and that the defendant conducted or participated in the enterprise's affairs through patterns of, this pattern of activity. And there's various things that, it's like murder, kidnapping, arson, robbery, bribery, extortion. There's a lot of extortion. There's lots of extortion. Um, there's lots of money laundering because we have these NGOs and we don't know where the money has gone.
Well, if you were a parent, if you are a parent that did choose to homeschool your kid,
Mhm.
just a little bit of advice. We'll tell you if a DCF worker comes to your door, you simply say, "I don't wish to speak with you. Please leave my yard. Good night," and close the door. That's it. Period. You don't have to talk to these people. They have no authority no arrest authority, legal authority whatsoever. They're just there to stick their nose in your business and try to control
They'll
your
also
life.
bring a police officer with them on purpose.
That's the same. That's to try to intimidate you.
Right.
That
So
officer doesn't have any more. You haven't committed any crime. And the officer has no more right to enter your house or talk to you than the DCF worker does. So you simply explain that and you tell them to leave. Now, if you do that, you risk them being more trying to come down on you harder potentially because this is the kind of government we have in Connecticut now.
right.
They want to get in your house. This is really a nightmare, and you should be afraid. If you don't vote, shame on you.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we can still fix this in the ballot box. But I got to tell you, right now, after 2028 election, if we don't get it right then, we'll never be able to fix it in the ballot box again.
Yes, I agree.
The only way to fix it after that will be through civil war. We don't want that at
Yeah.
all. Nobody wants that.
This is a sincere attempt at doing this in a nonviolent way.
That's
Frustrated
correct.
as we all are. We do not want it to get to the point of violence. We're all trying to avoid that. It's like haven't we got past that as human beings?
Probably not.
Yeah. And it's like, well, do you want to be like Iran? Because right now, there are plenty of people who know exactly what the consequences are. We have John Flynn, who literally got stuffed into Whiting Forensic Hospital because he has been speaking out about voter fraud.
Mhm.
Linda's out there. She knows what the risks are. There are real risks to this. And we don't want to get it to the point where they're outright killing us like they are in Iran because they just killed a bunch of protesters yesterday.
Yeah, they'll just come out and start shooting you. Or they'll just, or in America, you know what they'll do? You know what they'll do in America? They'll just come kidnap, take you off the street,
Yep.
take you, and you'll be gone. You'll never be seen, no lawyer, nothing. That's what they did to John Flynn. John Flynn had no access to counsel even, not even a lawyer.
No, he did not.
If they think that you're enough of if you try to speak out for common sense, you try to expose them, if they find out about it, I'm not going to lie to you, if you're an activist, they find out about it and they think, now usually if they don't think you're much of a threat, they'll leave you alone. But if they think you're making progress like John Flynn was, and like Linda is, then they will not hesitate to erase you. And they do it. They do it in subtle
Might
ways.
not be so bad
They'll
right
jam up
now,
your.
but that's what we're looking at if we don't win.
That's what we're looking at as a system.
As
Right
a-
now, it's when it happens, it's corrupt, it's criminal, it shouldn't happen. It can be exposed and stopped. However, once they get a toehold into the government, now at this stage, then yeah, it'll become that kind of thing will become part of the system. You see,
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a
and
19.
we'll be living in a Gestapo police state of corruption and murder, and the red what Selena mentioned about the red and
Green
green wave,
alliance.
the red green alliance is real, and it is extremely. If you want to live, we'll live here like they live in Iran. Then
Yeah.
sit home and don't vote. Then that's what you'll get. You're going to get because they don't believe in the rules. They don't believe in fair elections. They are cheating. And so get out and vote.
Yep.
There you go. Here you have it.
I have it. And I will add that even if you look at the elections and you say, oh, these elections aren't fair, it's not worth my time to vote. It is now, so what had happened, but so before, what was happening is that people who had lost elections because they thought something was wrong did not have what the court called standing, and I'm putting that in bunny ears, little quotes, air quotes. Um, so it is now completely clear because it has gone up to the Supreme Court that people who are in elections are, if they are a candidate, they have standing to challenge the count.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know that Betsy McCoy is totally prepared to challenge any voter count.
Yep.
I says she's already got lawyers in place, so your vote will make a difference. So even if you think your vote doesn't count, get out
It
there.
does. You got to get out. Just do it anyway. Just trust us, if nothing else. If you're not, if you're a skeptical person, there's a lot of skeptical people in Connecticut. And if you're skeptical, just trust it and just go vote. Just do it. Even if you don't believe us, if you don't wrong.
Candidate a chance. Give your
Because yeah, it's so important. And bless Dr. DeLessio, bless Linda, bless John Flynn, guys like that. Bless people who are really trying to get this exposed. The good news is, like you just said, this is now all of this work we've all been doing for the last year and a half is starting to finally pay off in the courts. Like we have, people are testifying, and the DOJ is hearing us. So, like you just mentioned, it is finally, being established in the Supreme Court, like you said, that candidates can challenge, and so things are starting to happen. We're starting to get a little help from the federal government in terms of stopping this rogue government in Connecticut. So things are moving in the right direction. You just got to come out and help us with it. It's kind of like Iran, where they're bombing the hell out of the country, and we want the people to come out and take over now. It's the same thing. We're bombing the hell out of the voter rolls here. We're fixing the voter rolls. So come out and help us and vote. Come out and take over and do the voting.
Well, actually, in Iran, what they're doing right now is they're telling the civilians to stay indoors because they're bombing specific targets. And
Correct.
Israel has always been very good about saying, oh, we don't want to hurt civilians. And
Yep.
they have a whole system in place for making sure that people know that it's like, we're not going to go bomb your apartment building. We're going
No.
to go bomb the, this, that, and the other thing.
But while you're in your apartment building, you should be building your new coalition government of freedom, or
Much
you
as
should
they
be building
can
it up.
because they've cut off the Wi-Fi. So it's like if you got a landline that's still working, you can talk to people on the phone.
Well, one of the things I don't understand, though, I don't understand about this. And we're shifting over to the Iran war a little bit. That's good. One of the things I don't understand, two things I don't understand, actually. The first one is just, 2 or 3 months ago before this began, they had 30, 40,000, hundreds of thousands of people out protesting, marching in the streets in Iran, a country that at that time the mullahs still had full control over, right? And they shot 32,000 people. I know that. It's terrible.
40.
40,
Yep.
right? But there was a million out there, though.
Yep.
Shot 40,000. The other 900,000 went home scared or whatever. Now, here we are 3 months later, not even much long later. Now the mall has been decimated. So where are these people? Where are
I
these
just
people?
answered that, Jason. I said Israel has been telling them to stay in the house because they're still bombing.
Okay.
They're still bombing.
But so what you're saying based
That's
okay, that's a good
up.
answer.
That's what's been on.
That's a good answer. But that means that as soon as we say come on out, they're all going to come out, and we're going to have a new government in Iran without any problem. Then
Ideally, yeah.
okay, let's hope so.
I know that the Shah of Iran's son, Pahlavi, he's and we talked to Jay and I talked about this a little bit last week, that he is prepared to help shepherd people into a more uh, a form of government that is more representative, whatever that ends up looking like.
It's good.
and I think Trump has said he would really like to have some, some veto power there. And I get that.
Careful of that.
You know,
Look, I don't care what kind of government they have over there, as long as it's not a government that is bent on destroying the Western world. That's all.
it's
They can do
like
whatever they want. It's their country.
it is. And I think they're actually prepared to do something. I
Yeah, do
believe
what you
that
want.
because I've read, just from all of the posts I've read on social media, are all people great? No. But there is a lot of different people posting from Iran on the platform X. And they're all, they're pretty steadfast. Every single one of them, and there's a bunch of different people. It's not just one person posting or two people posting. It's like I get a huge variety of people from Iran who are just like, nope, it's not worth living if we have to live like this anymore. We're gonna, and they want something different, and they are not, and never have been Islamists. They're
Yeah.
Persians.
Right,
They have
right.
their own darn religion.
That's correct. That's correct. They got hosed in 1979 when these people took over.
Oh, it
So
was, yeah,
I
yeah.
think what's going to happen here, I have a prediction what's going to happen here. Eventually, our firepower and air power and our special forces, whatever we do, will eventually subdue the mullahs, and we will have Iran in the right direction. However, they're going to retreat. The mullah hardcore. There's a lot of hardcore mullahs that are.
Oh, there are. Yeah,
Yeah,
there are.
getting rid of all of it will not be something that will happen in 6 weeks. It probably will never happen. Because when you're dealing with an ideology, when you're dealing with a theology,
It's true.
whether
Yes,
it's a
this
good
is
one or a
something
bad
we're
one,
always
it's
going
just
to have to deal with.
yeah, we had to nuke Japan to get them to surrender, and we're not going to nuke Iran. So the bottom line is they're going to retreat into the mountains. The mullahs are eventually going to, what's left of them, are going to eventually retreat into the mountains of northwestern Iraq, and we're going to have a better situation in Iran.
Right.
But those mullahs that are in the mountains are never going to, you're going to have insurgencies, you're going to have bombing, you're going to have problems there for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, they
And
are.
so you just have to stay with it. It's still a better situation than we have with them in control.
Hmm. Absolutely.
But so I want to just real quick, the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
Okay, I have a very important question about the Strait of Hormuz. We all know what's going on there. Iran supposedly closed the Strait of Hormuz. It's a kind of a hitching point in Trump's plan for this war, our military's plan for this war. It's caused our gas prices to rise pretty dramatically and obviously inordinately, by the way. This isn't affecting us. I think there's a lot of price gouging going on in Connecticut right now with these prices. I don't believe they should be this high
Hmm.
because we don't rely on oil from the Strait of Hormuz in this country all that much. So I think it's more of a beat Trump thing going on here with these gas prices being higher than they should be. However, I want to take the role. I did this on the court show the other night. I want to do it here. I want to take the role of an army general for the moment.
Hmm.
I'm going to pretend I'm an army strategic general, and I'm in charge of the war in the Strait of Hormuz. Which, by the way, the area I looked at the map, the area that they're talking about, this 30-mile area of the Strait of Hormuz, where the water is only about 30 miles wide between Iran and Saudi Arabia, I believe, and that area that we're talking about is about the size of Connecticut, give or take.
Hmm.
And there's one of two. The way I look at it is this: apparently, I'm hearing Iran has it closed, and it's only letting friendly ships through right now. That would imply that Iran has some type of a patrol or authoritarian control over that strait still, right? In order for them to choose which ships go through and which don't, correct? They would
Yeah.
have to. They would have to have some kind of physical control over that area in order to say, oh, these friendly ships can go through, but Israel and the United States cannot, right? They would have to have that. Without that, it could not make that determination. But we don't. I don't think they do that. They do, right? If they do have that, we should easily be able to go in there and take that, like overnight. But that hasn't happened. So what's the other scenario? The other scenario I'm hearing is that the thing is mined.
Yeah,
And so ships
I'm
can't get
actually
through. They're afraid to get through. Iraners mine the shit out of it, and
yeah.
ships can't get through. But if that's the case, that means Iran does not have any authoritarian control over the area whatsoever to determine who goes through or not.
Mhm.
Right? They don't. They just have these mines they've left there. And therefore, the only thing we have to worry about is going in and using our sophisticated equipment. It might take a little while, but to clean them up. So my theory is I'm hearing on news two different things, and I'm getting confused, and that's why I want to know. As a general, if I was a general, it's well, Iran has control of the area. Let's take it, and let's end this Hormuz problem.
Hmm.
Or Iran doesn't really have any physical control of it, but they've laid off these terrible mines, and therefore, okay, American public, we have these mines. It's going to take us X amount of days to clear them out. That's the only problem we have. Give us 12 days to fix it and we'll be through it. End of story. How come one of those two stories should be what I believe in the news, but I'm not hearing either one? All I'm hearing is a bunch of confusion.
Yeah, well, some of that is I'm quite sure that the last thing we want to be doing is putting out news about what the hell our military is doing.
True. And Trump's great about that. I
Yeah,
love it when
and
he
I'm
says, "Oh,
I'm
allow
not
me to even answer that question." He says,
I do know that he put out a request for and this may be in some way strategic, but he put out this request for it's like, hey, could we have some other people stepping up to participate in this activity because this whole global um, we again we have energy. We are the largest
"Right,
producer in the world at this point,
we are." Thanks to
and
Donald Trump
for
once
oil
again.
and natural gas. So yay for us. I mean, we've got this, but it's like all of this is going to other countries, and here we are doing all the, doing the defense because Iran has actually had that choked for decades. It's not like this is new. This has always been a point of contention.
Correct.
So there
We've
are
always
some
threatened to
countries
close it over the years.
so there are countries who are stepping up and sending some ships to participate, and it's in their best interest to do that. Again, we technically don't need that. I mean, we
No,
we want to be able to refuel, and yes, technically oil is a global market,
it
but
helps us. It helps us to have it. We don't need it.
right.
Right.
So it's like my
I heard
goodness.
that even if they close that strait permanently, it would only affect us in about an 8 to 10% of our GDP when it comes to oil. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, there are 6 countries who have stepped up. Japan, I know Argentina did. Let's see. So Britain, France, Germany, and Italy and the Netherlands all said they would step in, and Japan didn't say no before, but certainly Britain did. And and I know Argentina has also stepped up because I heard that earlier today.
I still think I think I get this feeling. I'm optimistic. I think we're going to clean up the heavy part of this war in the 5 weeks that Trump said in the beginning. It's
Yeah.
only been 3 now,
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
over 3.
promised us no boots on the ground. Senator John Kennedy he's like he had a very one of his usual somewhat crusty comments about that there was not going to be any boots on the ground. I can't quote him, but we know how entertaining. If you guys haven't heard John Kennedy, Senator Kennedy speak, that
He's
man
funny.
is he's very funny.
He's the Yogi Berra of the Senate.
Oh my goodness. He is pithy.
Yeah, he is. I love
Pithy.
him. So are we there, or were we?
I
Where we
think
at?
we're there.
I
I
think
think
so
we're
too.
there.
It's been a good show. We got good topics covered. We're gonna do Jay. You and Jay will be back on Tuesday, correct?
Yep. Yep. I don't think we've got anybody scheduled right now, but
Next Thursday, though, we have a gentleman, and his name is escaping me right now.
Vargas.
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 Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just give you a quick tease on this. You don't want to miss this because this guy, he infiltrated a liberal event. Chris Murphy was speaking online to his liberal supporters on X, I believe, or one of the majors, probably more than one of the major social media sites. And this guy infiltrated the event pretending to be a worker, just like a volunteer worker, got himself close to Murphy, and then I don't know if it was a MAGA hat or a Trump hat right in front of the guy, right in front of Murphy, went MAGA, right in front of all supporters. Must have embarrassed the hell out of the guy. We got to hear about this.
Yeah,
This guy,
I'm looking forward to those.
this is my kind of guy. Apparently, he kind of got away with it, and when he was going back to his car, they came and arrested him.
Uh-huh.
We're going to hear more from him on that. Don't miss that.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
All right. So, want to take us out?
Yeah, so have everybody stay safe and God bless America and God bless Connecticut and we'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.